Hello dear viewer, today you join me at my house. My wife and I bought this house back in December 2024, and we have been living in it since. We kind of went into the entire process of buying a house pretty much blind. Because of that, we made quite a few mistakes along the way and learned quite a few lessons here and there too. In this video, I'm going to show you the entire process from beginning to end, as well as some tips and tricks that we wish we knew beforehand. Without further ado, let's get started.
Before we get officially started though, let me give you some background information on the house itself. This house was completed in 2024, the same year that we bought it. It is 2,500 to 3,000 square feet and it contains 3 stories. Lastly, this house is classified as a row townhouse.
We're currently standing at the top part of the house where we have an open terrace. It's just a small terrace. For most townhouses, that actually doesn't count as a story. So officially, this story right under the open terrace is the 3rd story of our house. On this floor, we have 1, 2, and 3 rooms.
This is the first room I alluded to. Here's the same room from a different angle where I can show you a closet. Here is the 2nd room on the 3rd floor. Here's the same room from another angle where we have another closet. And here we have the master bedroom. From this angle, you can see that we have a walk-in closet and also a master bathroom. And here is our master bathroom with a shower that is stand up. And in this corner, we have our cat's litter box. And here we have our 2nd floor, the main living room area. The main living room area is also shared with our kitchen. At the back of our kitchen, we do have this little nook here, which is just big enough for a couch or a little place for coffee. That concludes the majority of the 2nd floor. The only thing that we didn't talk about being a washroom here. And here we have the 1st floor or ground floor of our building. Washroom over there, garage, and also basement. It is a double garage. Here is the basement, and it is, as you can see, incomplete. Now, I did a quick showing of the house first because what I wanted to do was I wanted to show you what 2,500 square feet looks like. When we first started looking into buying houses, we didn't know how big our condo was, and we didn't know what 2,500 square feet looked like either. So this is how big that looks like. Even though we didn't know what 2,500 square feet looked like, we still started shopping nonetheless.
In fact, we started our house journey by looking at basically this. I'm not referring to the sign by itself, I'm referring to at.
Thinking back, I would not recommend this. I would strongly advise talking to a mortgage advisor at a bank first, because at that point you can kind of get a basis on how much money you have. This will lead to a lot less disappointment where you're looking at very pretty ads about houses. Now, I hate PowerPoint slides as much as the next guy, and also I'm definitely not an expert at mortgages. However, I do want to share with you some of the basic information we didn't know when we first looked into mortgages. The first thing is, what is a mortgage? It's just a loan for property, that's all. Second term is amortization. This is basically how long it's going to take for you to pay it all off. The 3rd term is mortgage term. This is how you're going to be paying off the mortgage within a specific period of time. The last term is pretty simple, it's mortgage pre-approval. And this is what we're referring to when we said we should probably spoken with a mortgage advisor first. A pre-approval is basically the bank saying, this is what I think I'm willing to lend to you if you decide to buy a house. Without a pre-approval, my wife and I, we looked at the ads. We didn't know how much we could afford, and more importantly, we didn't know how much we couldn't afford. Because of this, we had these delusions of grandeur on the most amazing houses we could purchase. And unfortunately, after a little bit more time, we did end up getting more serious and talking to a mortgage advisor, at which point our dreams were completely crushed. It was at this point we got approached by a family friend. And this family friend took a look at our mortgage advisor's pre-approval and said, yeah, you guys can do way better than that. Hearing somebody say that when we were shopping for houses was slightly too good to be true. But there was some value in what he said. At this point, I would like to talk to you about tip number 2. And that is, once you get pre-approved, don't stop there. Consider going to the other banks. In Canada, there's 5 big banks out there. You can go and ask around to see if maybe there's another bank that could give you a much better rate. For us, after speaking with a mortgage advisor friend of ours, he did go off to a few smaller banks to see if he can get us pre-approved for a bigger loan. We did get a pre-approval for a much bigger loan, but it was hot garbage in terms of interest rate. Nonetheless, with this new pre-approval from a smaller bank, I went back to my old bank and told them, hey, I did get pre-approved for a lot more with another place. And that was enough to convince my old bank to give us a little bit more purchasing power. So with a pre-approval number that we were happy with and could work with, the next step was we had to go and actually shop for houses much more seriously. To do that, we need to find a realtor. A realtor is somebody who's going to fight with the other seller's realtor to make sure you get the best deal and the best price. Keep in mind, the realtors are being paid by commission, so apart from being competent at their job, you have to find somebody who you can trust. We luckily had a family friend of ours who we trusted and liked. Accompanied by our realtor, we went to a whole bunch of houses and open houses to check out the places. And it's at this point when we realized all those ads we were gushing over, they're mostly lies. Most of the ads you see online for houses are photoshopped to a certain extent. Because of this, the next tip is, do not trust the images and ads online. Go to the houses you are interested in real life. So after shopping around at a whole bunch of bungalows, semi-detached houses, fully detached houses, at all the locations around the GTA, we eventually settled on the location we liked in Markham. At that point, we had a few old houses we really wanted and a new townhouse, this one, that we only kind of wanted. I think the main issue was this. With regards to the old houses, it was upkeep problems. And by this, I mean it was problems you could see. With new townhouses, you're not really sure about what's gonna bend, what's gonna break, what screws are gonna come loose. When we first started, we kind of brushed off the entire idea of new houses, mainly because we thought they were gonna be much more expensive than the old houses. But it turns out the old houses in Toronto appreciate in value, and that second point doesn't really exist. Last point to mention is the neighborhood. Because this is a new complex, the area around our house is incomplete. There's no lawns, there's no trees, there's no shrubbery. It's all kind of just coarse dirt. And we actually also didn't have a road going into the townhouses either when we first looked at this house. So it's kind of discouraging. Now let's talk about some of the pros. The biggest one is you're gonna get new appliances that come with new warranty. So you don't have to worry about your dishwasher breaking or your washing machine breaking down on you. Old houses, you definitely have to replace them at some point. This is an expected expense. You likely will need renovation. For old townhouses, you expect that you will need renovations. If not for aesthetics, then just to maintain some of the walls and stuff like that. Surprise, surprise, we chose this townhouse eventually. Frankly speaking, it was kind of the only thing we could afford, so after you find a home you like, it is time to bid on it. Bidding is a rather nuanced topic. I would strongly recommend talking with your realtor because they're going to be your champions in all of this. Occasionally, it is a good idea to think about what your bank account looks like when you bid. This is going to be a pretty key point that's going to come up. And that's because, next tip, when bidding, have liquid cash flow. Okay, so it's time to bid. If you look online, all houses that are on the market will have a history on how long they've been on the market for. One of the cons I didn't mention for our new townhouse was that this townhouse has been listed for a very long time without any bids. This basically meant that when we gave an offer, we didn't really have a deadline to work with. We sent them an offer and told them we were willing to pay this much for the townhouse. Sure enough, after a very short period of negotiations, they said we'll take it. But we also want something called earnest money. And that's basically saying, when you sign the agreement to buy the house, I want this much money in advance. So here is the problem. A lot of the money that we had for our purchasing power was still caught up in the banks. We had them in TFSAs and RRSPs, and they were all investments. When you call the bank to tell them you want to withdraw them, they told us that it was going to take a few business days for them to sell off our investments to make our money fluid. And that means that we don't have access to any cash flow that is near the amount for earnest money. We very fortunately had a lot of family members who was able to scrounge up some money for us to pay this amount to the other party before the deadline. And then 2 days later, we got the money in our accounts and we could pay them back. But that was incredibly stressful and one of the worst parts of this entire journey. Okay, so finally, after all that's done, we are now moving on to the active phase of moving in. And we're gonna start this off with the next thing, which is the PDI. PDIs, what are they? Basically, before you move into a new house that you bought, you are going to go into that new house with your realtor, as well as an inspector from the sellers to make sure that everything is as it is. This is also the time to point out any problems you might notice during your open house or at any other time, because this is going to be the last time that you're going to have an agent from the sellers who can confirm that these problems were there before you moved in. You could, if you want, bring in one of your own inspectors. For the true PDI on the day of, we would actually start on the 3rd floor. If I Open the door here. That is our terrace, and it is now nighttime. And right next to the door for our terrace, we have this room, which is for the water heater. We're gonna come back to this when the video gets here. So we bought a house. Today we're going in for the PDI, which is basically just inspecting the building. When we were there for the viewing, we already saw that there was a couple things we wanted to work on, so I'm probably gonna have quite a few chats with the inspector guy today. The space is huge. I didn't think townhouses could be this big, but this townhouse was on par in size with some of the fully detached houses we were looking at. The house that we're currently buying, it's a new build. We're buying it straight from the builders. We're currently in the process of closing already. We just have to finish the inspection because the inspection is on the house side of things, and we just have to make sure that when you move in, everything is as they said it would be. And it's also your time to kind of bring up a whole bunch of things with regards to the quality or the developments and stuff like that. Because we're buying it directly from the builder, we do have a lot of complaints we can just make directly to them so they can fix a whole bunch of stuff, hopefully. Upstairs is the roof after this one. So this is our water heater room. There's also a HRV over there, but we'll kind of get into that on the actual PDI because I think on the day of, the guy explained it pretty well. As for the water heater here, the builder inspector guy told me that if anything happened to it, call Enercare, because Enercare are the guys who we are renting this water heater from. And as you'll see, we are definitely going to contact Enercare quite a few times in the next couple of weeks.
Wrong with it, you can call them up.
Sure.
You have an HRV, heat recovery ventilator.
Okay.
This will bring in fresh air, heat it a little bit so it's not freezing cold, and then distribute it through the house. But the line set is there. Air conditioner.
Air conditioning. Okay, so
Unit is a little bit different.
all right. After talking about the water heater, the HRV, and the air conditioner wiring, we moved on to the third floor. You can't see it here, but everything here is covered in dust, and also the floor had flies. 苍蝇没清理，还有很多苍蝇。
对，因为没人住的地方肯定有苍蝇。
Okay,
Yeah.
know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, because it's not nailed. It's a floating floor.
Yeah.
A vinyl or a laminate. I'm not sure what.
So the third floor was kind of dirty and there was flies everywhere, but none of those things were deal breakers. But when we got to my 3D printing room, suddenly we saw some things that we definitely need to bring up. The two big things in this room were, number one, the floor at around this area was bumpy. There was kind of a little bit of elevation at some point. And the second thing is the window frame on the outside of this door was cracked. Just on your experience, do you think that's going to meet tolerance or no?
I'll check it when next couple of days. In case something does have to get done. I'd like to do it before.
Kind of broken too.
This is the door.
Hot, cold, drain, electrical for the dryer, and the vent for the dryer. Now, if you're wondering why I took a video of the laundry plugins, I was taking notes. While the unit does come with new appliances, it does not come with the installation of said appliances. Furthermore, the appliances are to be delivered after your closing day, so here you won't see them. Aside from installation guides for appliances, you will see me take random videos of cupboards and just countertops. And that is because tip number 5, on the day of your PDI, take lots of photos and a video or two if you can, just because even if you do miss something, now you'll have evidence from before you moved in.
Tube is going to go into here. This is a shutoff.
Okay.
And that goes under the floor and it comes up over there for your fridge. You see
Oh, okay.
So if you have an ice maker or water, there you go.
And there's a drawer fire in the kitchen too, right?
Yep.
I think kitchen is right here.
And here we have yet another thing that we definitely needed to get fixed. This was the kitchen GFI, which was broken. So these buttons on this socket basically means that this is what's called a GFI or a GFCI. That means ground fault circuit interrupter. Essentially what this does is it regulates how much current is actually going into whatever's plugged in here. And if there's an interruption at any point, it shuts off completely. It's a safety mechanism because if you stick something you're not supposed to into the socket, it'll zap you, as opposed to zap you, keep you there, and freeze your muscles while you keep getting electrocuted. The next conversation we had about the second floor was the stairs. Apparently the stain was just a little bit off color.
Yeah, he's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting, huh?
What do you mean?
Yeah, we're first time home buyers, so
Oh, good for you.
it's a little daunting.
Be excited. Be excited.
And next up we have the first floor. Luckily, not much to say about here.
It's called OSB.
OSB, yeah.
Ornamental strand board. Oh, it's stained the way that it is.
Oh,
So this is an unfinished area.
okay.
This is what they call a shrinkage crack. That's why on sidewalks, they have what they call controlled cuts.
Those are the
So that it
lines.
cracks in that controlled cut.
Finally, to the basement to check out the furnace and also the water controls. Luckily, both of which had no troubles at all. So after all of that, we basically were done with the PDI itself. The last conversation we had with the inspector guy was regarding renovating the basement. He said you can basically do it whenever you want. However, keep this in mind. These walls are warranted for water damage for 1 year. If we find water damage within 1 year and you renovated the basement, they'll have to come out, cut a hole into your renovation, and then fix it.
There was a crack in the concrete and it leaked. We would repair only what we put.
Okay, hello.
Let's go in the garage.
还行，
还行啊，
你想看一下吗？
没下去了，太脏了。好，你看。
That pretty much sums up the entirety of the PDI. At the end, he kind of left me with two main tips. First one was that if you could, try to consider putting your air conditioner on the first floor as opposed to the third floor, even though it was intended for the third floor. The reason behind this is that the air conditioning unit could be pretty loud at times. The second thing he mentioned to us was, if possible, try to consider getting air filters that are cheaper. Frequent replacement on air filters is much better than a good one that lasts longer. So, after the PDI was done, my wife and I were really happy with how things went. We seemed like we addressed everything, and although she wasn't there, after looking through the videos, she did think that we were going to be pretty okay when we moved in. As you'll see, we were in for a bit of a surprise. Now, before moving in, there's actually one more hurdle we need to jump over, and that is with the closing date itself. Let's see how that played out and then come back to the PDI stuff afterwards. We're officially moving out and I forgot the trolley was at my mom's, so... Closing day is the last day of the sale. All of your money gets moved this day, you pick up your keys this day. It is just the de facto end of your time with your accountant and your lawyers. We thought this was going to be very easy. A member of the seller's party was going to give us a call before 4 p.m. to tell us when and where to pick up our keys, at which point the house is ours and we can do whatever we wanted. With this in mind, we got up really early, started packing both of our cars, and waited for the phone call. We were ready to go by 11 a.m. and here was us at home at 3 p.m. So here was the game plan for a closing day. Very early on the morning of December 18th, my wife and I would load our cars with as many things as we can. And then afterwards, when we get the phone call, we would go over to the seller's place, pick up the key, and then make our way all the way to our new house. At which point we would dump all the things that we had. If we had time, we can then drive all the way back to our place, now with our keys, and pick up more things. This is just kind of our way of getting the ball rolling on moving things into our new place from our old condo. That's how this was supposed to go. As for how things went, our time window was initially meant for sometime around 8 a.m. until sometime around 4 p.m. Around 3:30ish or so, we thought that something might have gone wrong and got very anxious. There was money to be moved. There was mortgage advisors who had to be involved. There were accountants who had to make sure everything went smoothly. And there were also lawyers to make sure that nobody got sued along the process. So when we didn't get the keys at a reasonable hour, we figured something must have gone wrong. Fortunately, in the end, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. However, this was one of the most stressful days we had in the entire move. Keys pick up.
Not good communication. Terrible communication.
So the wife is in the other car because her car is also filled to the brim with boxes. Bring as many boxes as we can with us. To be honest, we weren't really happy with the way things have gone so far. The person who is the site manager who's supposed to give us our keys, he's not here. He's on vacation. So he was supposed to give it off to somebody else, but that somebody else never contacted us directly. And I don't know, it's just like, we don't know who's giving us our keys. We're supposed to get the keys today, it's 4 p.m, we're finally getting it now. After spending an entire day just waiting for the phone call, so yeah. So, one of the most stressful days of our lives because so many things were happening behind the scenes, we were really scared that something might have gone awry. So here, I would like to bring up the next tip. On the day of the PDI, try to remember to jot down the number of the inspector. And if possible, try to get down the number to reach if we can't reach him. Because in case one of them is unreachable, you do want to reach the others. I try not to think about this too much. It is the first day of us getting our keys, so it's still kind of a happy occasion. There are 6 boxes over here. The wife has 3 boxes in her car, plus a whole bunch of small kitchen stuff that were just in bags. We'll probably bring a whole bunch more stuff over just tomorrow, because tomorrow's when we rented a U-Haul to bring all the big stuff. By the time you reach closing, basically most of the things are already done. The only thing that was a bit unforeseen for me was that when your bank finishes up with the mortgage stuff, they will ask you if you want creditor's insurance. So here's the Cliff Notes version of creditor's insurance. The insurance is for this. If you die, the mortgage gets paid off. Unlike life insurance, the creditor's insurance can only be used to pay off the mortgage. The only thing I found interesting here was that when you initially have a large mortgage, you get tons of coverage. But as you pay off the mortgage more and more, your coverage gets less and less. Keys. Now the question is, did they clean the area like we told them to? The wood looks the same, to be honest. I don't think they did. Yeah, they didn't really clean anything at all, did they? They turned the water on. Heat is also on. Indeed, the water and the heat were turned on. However, my wife and I came to a very quick realization that none of the things we mentioned on the PDI were fulfilled. Speaking of which, that is the next tip. Expect your PDI fulfillment to take a very long time. We already got a delivery.
For us? Huh?
Clean, does it even wipe the mirror? Oh my god. Doesn't stay on. Water should be on. This looks exactly the same as before. Just our terrace. Yeah, they didn't really clean this part. They said they were going to, but... Okay, let's pause there for a second and just reiterate what has been going on. Our house was currently in the exact same state as when we came here for our PDI. And that house was in the same state as when we were here for our open house. In fact, it seemed like the only thing that got fixed was the 3D printing room's floor. And I'm not even sure if that was something someone did or if maybe the floors just kind of settled down by the time we moved in. It's better.
Yeah, they fixed it, but it's not like... They definitely did something.
They did something. This feels very different, but it's not like... It's not fixed.
This right here. But it's like within their limits, right? Remember that you told me like...
Yeah, there's a tolerance.
Lock?
I don't know.
It says lock. Oh! Key, maybe. Camera posted back on service. This might be our keys.
Yeah.
Our lockbox.
Okay, quick pause. Earlier in the video, you saw that I found a piece of mail that was put onto our door from before we moved in. Turns out that was our mailbox key. And our mailbox key was surprising to us because Canada Post was actually on strike when we moved in. In any case, by the time we found out about the mail, it dawned on us that we were not making a second trip back home that night. And so we decided to celebrate the fact that we at least got into our house that day.
We're home!
Speaking of cleaning, you might have caught on now that the PDI complaint about the place being dusty is likely never going to get fulfilled. And that's because we're going to move in. And since we don't want to live with dust, that means we're going to have to do the cleaning ourselves. And this is because apparently for the PDI's complaints, there's no time frame on when they absolutely needed to be fulfilled. As mentioned, expect delays. Now, I know you can't see the dust in the video, but you don't have to just take my word for it. Here's our Ecobee, equipped with an air quality meter. Time to get moving. And so it was now time to move things in. But just before we got overwhelmed, skilled laborer helping us move. I don't think I say this enough, but honestly, I have the best crew. They came to us on our first day of moving in just to help with the dust problem, and we definitely needed the help. High-tech cleaning crew.
Just another cleaning crew.
Just another cleaning crew. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, right there. This is it.
Honestly, these guys are worth their weight in gold. Or in pizza, which is the only thing we could afford to pay them with, as we are now house poor. That's not helping. Now, you might think that the second day is going to be much better than the first because we don't have to deal with the shenanigans of picking up our keys. Unfortunately, it was way worse. We were so stressed that I didn't even get a chance to take any videos of the entire thing. On day 2, after getting the U-Haul, we headed back to our condo to start loading things into it. I had booked the elevator for the condo to be used for moving things a few days ahead, but for a safety deposit, I put down a personal check. Turns out you can use personal checks as a safety deposit for moving in, but not for when you're moving out. When you're moving out, they want a certified check. Because of this mix-up, we lost a lot of time in the window we were allowed to use the elevator for. And since we rented the U-Haul for only 1 day to move our big things, this was kind of a big deal. Although the timing was very hectic, we luckily did have enough time to move all our big things into the new house. Part 2. It should be noted that we only made the deadlines because we had the wedding party helping us today. So a quick shout out to our wonderful friends, who of course we could only pay with food. After moving the big things, we had one more trip to make that day. Time to bring the cat home. Meanwhile, all of this stuff still, after a full day of moving stuff around. One more trip to the new place. He won't respond to his name until he's like settled in. He also doesn't really cuddle with us or sleep with us. Aslan. He's not nervous, he just wants to explore. We brought Aslan with us because this was going to be our first night spent in the new house. Before we tried to sleep though, we decided to do a little bit of dusting. An instruction level of cleaning before giving it to us. You can probably predict how our night went just based on how dusty this place was. Which is to say, not really good. For the next morning, we really could have used some good news. Instead, we kind of got the opposite. And it all started with a text. The text was very simple. It was just 2 images from Uhaul saying something had happened to the keys I dropped off the night before. So yesterday the plan was pick up the Uhaul, which is 5 minutes that way. I'll take the U-Haul, bring it back, get access to the elevator for our condo. We will unload all the big things. Halfway through moving through that, the concierge downstairs says that they had to revoke our elevator privileges because we didn't give them a certified check. Oh, this makes sense because, you know, if somebody moves out of your place and they gave you a personalized check and let's say it bounced after they did some damage to your elevator, you can't actually check it. But the thing is, when we got the appointment for the elevator the day prior, nobody batted an eye when I gave them a personalized check. Luckily, the bank was 10 minutes that way, but that was already a huge amount of problems. And then the night came and I barely slept because at our new house, the air quality is so bad. So last night when I was trying to sleep, my allergies kicked in and I couldn't breathe the entire time. It was so annoying. And then this morning when I woke up, the U-Haul guys called me and they're like, hey, by the way, when you guys dropped off the key for the U-Haul last night, we didn't get it. They were like, we don't want to charge you a U-Haul key replacement fee. And also the car is in their driveway with all the doors locked. So I must have driven it back there and then they just couldn't find the key afterwards. Instead of waking up normally, I woke up pretty early to go to U-Haul. I talked to them and they're like, yeah, okay, we can't do anything about this. Then right in the elevator, the guy texts me, he's like, oh, by the way, found the keys. And I'm like, Buying new houses are way more problematic than we thought. Like, we thought it was just being new house, move in, done. Every appliance new, completely fine, no problems at all, but it's not. In fact, we don't even have appliances in our new house yet. The appliances are gonna come in on Monday. Okay, so I know that was quite a lot of ranting, and I think it just kind of shows how bad of a mood I was in that morning. Very fortunately, as you heard, the U-Haul fiasco kind of cleared itself up after the employee found the keys in the snow. I wish I could say the same about the other issues we were noticing at home. One of our window screens is broken, the downstairs vent, there's something wrong with it, the upstairs water heater smells like natural gas, and I don't think that's supposed to happen. There's all these other little things like, why is our basement so much more hotter than every other floor? And I'm pretty sure I'm blowing some of this out of proportion just because like the air quality in my house being bad is just really tripping me up right now, but I gotta get to moving. I don't have a before photo, but if you pull up any of my old videos, you can probably see the place I left it before. This is the wife's room. It's pretty barren now. Here is my room, and we barely got started on this. The U-Haul office is really close to our old condo, so after I was done with them, I came back here to load more things into my car to bring back. On this first trip, I was by myself, but later in the day, my wife and I both made more trips where we both brought our cars. Belly half full, just like my mental state. Okay, well, that doesn't look any different, but the car is pretty much filled to the brim on the inside. For the rest of the day, it was just me in this car with a whole bunch of our luggage. After I calmed down a little bit, I think I slowly got more and more okay with the situation that we found ourselves. By the end of this day, we did end up moving quite a lot of things, and seeing all the progress we made after every single trip does give you a hint of satisfaction. I know in the video it's going to look like we have more things than before, but that's just because we took out all the things in the closet and cleared out pretty much all the things that we crammed into little spaces. Anyhow, after the chaos of everything, things do start to get better. Day 4. Today we're gonna move the last of our bits here. So here is the state of everything in our old place. Okay, so I'm gonna skip through a lot of the video we have for day 4, mainly because it was just us moving things around. Now, for that first clip of day 4, you might have noticed that I was in our old condo by myself again. And that was because while I was there, the wife was on the phone with Enercare, the guys who are renting us the water heater. What had happened was we smelled gas, and because we smelled gas, we called them to see if they can send a technician in to come check out the place for us. On the phone, the wife managed to book a technician to come check out our place at a specific date and a specific time. Right after we booked that appointment, we got a confirmation email saying a different time and a different date, which unfortunately didn't work for our schedules. Because of this, we had to call back again and reschedule. Luckily, they got it right the second time. However, on the actual day of, nobody showed up. Over the next few weeks, we would have quite a few run-ins with the operators and the technicians of Enercare. You'll see that soon enough. I'm just gonna leave this here right now. Tip number 9. Figure out how your water heater works in the new place you're moving into. Specifically, ask if the water heater is bought out or if it's a rental. In general, a bought out water heater is way better than any lease. We made the mistake of thinking that a new house would come with a completely paid off water heater. Instead, I believe we have a rental agreement with Enercare, with the only way out being that we have to buy the water heater straight out from them. As for the rest of day 4, very luckily, we did end up moving everything we had into the new house. This was good because the wife and I both have jobs, and after day 4, we'd have to get back to them. Almost done. It is the last day of moving before I had to go back to work. Still process of moving it, but we did actually get everything out here at least. Here's what it looks like behind me. Looking for
What are you looking for?
body wash.
You packed it.
I did.
That was today's packet.
Yes, it was. Oh. Found it. Oh my god. At least I get the shower. Eat that.
Emma's strong, independent woman.
I'm sure you don't want me to just do it. Aslan's here to not really cheer you up.
Dude, get out of the way.
So we finally moved all of our things inside our new house, and that was nice. It would have been nicer if we also had appliances though. The argument could be made that a lot of this was just because of poor planning on our end. However, we did very meticulously work through our realtors to make sure that we had all the dates right, including the date for appliances move-in. Months down the line, we will find out that the guys who are responsible for our appliances are actually not the same party as the sellers. Because of this, there's quite a lot of coordination when you buy a new house, move in, and have to get your appliances delivered. The coordination behind all of this means that more times than not, you are going to be looking at a few delays in getting your appliances. So this is our fridge for now. There's no appliances, so luckily the Canadian cold and all the snow outside is going to basically make this into a freezer for us. So this is our freezer, and our garage is like our fridge, which is slightly warmer but still very, very cold. On day 5, everything got better. Aslan had slept with us the night before, and this means our unemployed couch potato had adjusted to our new home. Apart from that, we were also done moving, so all that's left to do is to organize everything, which is much easier, but still kind of chaotic. Oh no, have you discovered how to use that? I love my job, but today I love it even more just because at work, everything is still exactly where I left it, and at home, everything is a huge mess. Everything has a place, and every place has a thing. After work, we got home and set up the couch as well as the TV. It was around this time when we finally got to breathe a little bit. As much as we wanted to stay in this state, we couldn't really do that. You're done with the computer. You know what? After moving all the here, we don't actually have that much stuff. We had to keep organizing because our appliances were coming in soon, and we got specific instructions to clear paths for all the appliances. We weren't really sure what this meant, so we decided to clean up as much as possible in all the hallways leading up to the 3rd floor. After the appliances come in, I knew we would have to find some way to install them. I thought it was good practice to organize my tools because we might need them. In this mess of a room were all my tools, so I had to organize this room too. Today was the day that our appliances were supposed to come in. And very hilariously, when they came in, it turns out our fridge doesn't fit. It's hilarious because the fridge actually came with our unit. Brand new appliances handpicked by the builder for the house they built. But it doesn't fit. We bought a gigantic air filter just because my wife knew that I was struggling a lot with breathing. I kind of used the ecobee to see how healthy my air actually was, but it turns out the ecobee isn't actually that accurate at checking air quality per se. Technically, it's not that it's inaccurate, it's that it might be too accurate. So any type of smells from like perfumes and stuff like that could trigger it and make it seem a bit worse than it actually is. Anyhow, I got a long drive back. It is snowing like crazy, which means I definitely still have a fridge. Brand new appliances. Still in the packaging. Completely brand new stove. Jenny was here when the builder's here, and apparently our fridge is a beautiful Samsung fridge that does not fit. This little ledge was touching the top part of the fridge, and there was no way in hell it's gonna come up here, so there's also this gigantic mess. That's the washer. This is the dryer. Needs a stacking kit. You were here in the dark. Oh no, mommy left the light for you. Go, I'm home now. You're allowed out for a little bit. He's dressed like this because it's Christmas. Okay, the appliances still aren't done because we don't know how to install the fridge when it doesn't fit through that corridor. The dishwasher, we didn't actually put anything in. We're Asian, we're probably not going to use this, so we figured we just leave it unattached for now. The stove is okay now. We don't know how to put the range hood on. The installation, like I said, is not included with moving in the house. We're gonna have to wait for one of our uncles who knows how to do this to install the range hood. Wow, you're really enjoying the big space now, aren't you? So far everything is kind of moving smoothly again. Except for the appliances, we don't have appliances, and unfortunately in the weekend that's coming up, it's gonna be 8 degrees, which means our outdoor-friendly Canadian weather is no longer going to be our fridge for the next few days. It's just kind of annoying to not have a fridge. In hindsight, we actually don't have that many things. We're like done. Oh, let me show you the my new man cave. Here's my 3D printing room. Very messy a few days ago, very clean now. And this I actually didn't record me doing, but that's just because as I got started, I realized that a good 15 minutes later, I was done. I really don't have that many things. And this is just my old setup put into a new location, and that's it. With that out of the way, the next thing for us was security. Our internet and cellular service providers also had a home security plan. It was really easy and simple to set up, but I don't think I'm gonna be sharing any of that just because it seems like bad practice to be sharing security information about your house on the internet. The outside camera. I do want to give a few tips with regards to privacy. For a lot of new houses, they don't actually come with curtains. If you don't want to flash your neighbors every time you open a window, I would recommend using privacy film, like the one we have here. They work pretty well and are relatively easy to install. Week 1 is now basically over for moving in, and we still have these as our blinds. This is what we came up with so far. We still have a hot water issue because for some reason the hot water smells like gas inside the room. And on only that, when we turn on our hot water, it doesn't get hot right away. It takes a while before it actually gets to a heat we can use. So that's not good. And we haven't really figured out how to solve that yet. I'll probably get back to that later. Okay, and that is everything so far. If you're wondering what that patch of linoleum is, it's my makeshift padded dance floor. If you look behind me, that is the state of lighting in our main living room area. The wife really didn't like this and wanted pot lights instead. I was of the perspective that we didn't really need to upgrade right after moving in. The lights worked fine, and honestly, I was just sick of moving around so much. So unfortunately for the wife, I am the man of the house, and because of this, jokes aside, this was the first time our uncle visited us to help with not just the pot lights, but also with the installation of some of our appliances. The main goal of the day being to install the laundry and washing machine. We ordered a stacking kit because the appliances didn't come with one. But aside from that, the laundry machines were kind of pretty self-explanatory. Self-explanatory, unfortunately, does not mean easy. Knowing where all the pipes go and installing them in the right places are two very separate things. So remember how I said we're gonna come back to the whole Enercare thing? Well, today is the day when we're gonna come back to it. The day that we got the pot lights installed was also the day when we booked the Enercare technician guy to come in. And as you'll also recall, this is the day when he didn't show up. Since we were already home for the pot lights installation that day, we figured why not have the technician over around that time. So we waited for them, and we kind of expected them to show up while our uncles were still here installing the pot lights. But as the pot lights installation got finished, we still didn't hear back from the Enercare guys at all. At that point, we were really concerned, so we decided to call Enbridge. Enercare is not the same as Enbridge. Enbridge is the guys behind our gas. Enercare is the guys behind our water heater. If you call Enbridge, they come right away. So here is the technician with us on the night when the Enercare technician did not show up. I'm gonna assume the beeping is bad, right?
Yeah. Here has a gas leak, okay?
Oh no.
Okay.
So, as it turns out, gas leaks are kind of dangerous. Because of this, the technician had to shut off our gas, which means we effectively did not have any hot water. Speaking of which, if you smell gas, call 911. This could be a potentially lethal issue. Our leak was very small. Yours may not be. So, like I said, don't take any chances. He also went to check the furnace, but fortunately that was working fine, so at least we had some heating. I'm guessing that's also really bad.
The furnace is okay. Let's go downstairs, double check.
Okay. It says violation. Safety violation. Corrections required. With the safety violation form, we called Enercare again, and Enercare decided to respond as soon as they can, sending someone over tomorrow. But just when we thought we were finally gonna meet this fabled Enercare technician, I was home the entire day waiting for them to give us a call. They said that when we called your phone, nobody picked up, and then we went to knock on your door, and nobody was there. That sounds like a reasonable thing, except for two issues. When they called my wife to confirm their appointment, they only called once. That's, I guess, fine. It could be on us. The second issue is this. They knocked on our door. We have 2 doorbells. We have 2 doorbells because if you just knock on the door and I'm on the 3rd floor, which I was, I don't hear anything. How does Enercare miss 2 doorbells? I was home literally the entire time just waiting for them to show up, and apparently they showed up, knocked on the door, and then just left. That sounds like they're just dodging us at this point. I'm just gonna stop it here just because I'm sure you don't want to hear me rant again. And also, yeah, like I mentioned, we did miss the first phone call, so that was on us. Taking that into consideration, I decided to calm down and just call Enercare back. I told them, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. Let's book another appointment. It is now 30 minutes later, and guess what? Enercare changed our appointment. That's kind of what happened last time as well. They first booked our appointments for like a Wednesday, I believe, and then 30 minutes after we finished booking our appointment, it suddenly got changed by itself to a different day. To Enercare's credit, I do have to state here that they did eventually send a technician over, and without charging us anything, they did fix the issue. But as you can clearly see, it is quite a nightmare to deal with them. Okay, so finally, this was the day when we got our fridge. But as you may have caught on, that is not a Samsung. How many days is it delayed now? When did they first initially come around with it? And today is January 8th, 9th. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but it sounds like we lost on some value.
Never mentioned dimensions or anything on our agreement, so.
Leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So yeah, you can tell from my voice that I was pretty underwhelmed by this. Unfortunately though, there wasn't anything we could really do about it. And in case you're wondering how much of a size difference the 2 fridges were, it was about this much. Enough to... Yeah, I know, I'm upset too. Okay, so just a quick update for the house stuff. This is a package our lawyer gave to us today. It's the final handoff package. With this package also came with the check. It's a little bit confusing. Because we bought a brand new house directly from the builder, there was a kind of a discount on it. Okay, so full disclosure, this part I'm not 100% of getting right, but there's a thing online called the Ontario New Housing Rebate for Owner-Built Houses. If you're buying a house in Ontario, you have to pay tax based on a certain percentage of the house's value. If your house is new, you actually get a bit of a discount on this. The amount scales with how much your new house costs, capping at $450,000, at which point the discount is $24,000. When we first spoke to our lawyers, he said he would be assuming that we would be paying taxes on the full price of the house. But after the purchase was done, our lawyer said that we will only be paying taxes on the full house price, subtract the $24,000 that was discounted. Since the tax of the house at full price is not the same as the tax of the house at full price subtract $24,000, since this number is smaller, we get the difference back as a refund. So this is where that check in the envelope came from. What it comes down to is that if you buy a new house, you save on the initial purchase from the builder, and then when you are going to get taxed on this new purchase, you also save a little bit of money on that too, because the money that you're paying taxes on is just the true net value of the house, not the full value of the house. After the last few documents from the lawyer, we spent the next few days shopping for furniture. I bought a gigantic shelf from IKEA for my room, and Jenny got started setting up her coffee table. We've talked to the blinds guys today, because new house does not come with curtains and we had to do it ourselves. We went into the mall and shopped around until we accidentally stumbled upon a curtain and shade lighting company. They said that they would do all of our windows, 3 in the bedroom area, so 1 for the guest room, 1 for the main bedroom, 1 for the washroom, plus basically all of that area. Plus the first floor has 1 area. Oh, and by the way, they were $2,103.43. So it has been a month since we closed the house, and apparently our 30-day checkup is actually not right now. It's actually sometime in February, so we have a few extra weeks to complain about more stuff. For our new house, there is a 30-day checkup and a 1-year checkup, both of which is going to be reported to our site manager. These checkups are basically meetings where we can tell them about things that were under warranty that now need servicing. Since all the big things that we talked about were addressed at the PDI, our site manager said that the small things we can just call him at any time for. It doesn't have to be 30 days or a year. Now everything is perfectly snug. Home doesn't feel like a home until you've 3D printed something to upgrade it. Hello. Oh, want some scratchies? Okay, so today we got the uncle over and they're helping us build a backdrop to our kitchen area, as well as install the range hood. Now, while they're doing the range hood downstairs, I'm printing something for Etsy. The thing is, this is much louder than I thought it would be. So, I think it's time to soundproof the room while they're doing range hood today. So, soundproofing the room. Pretty simple stuff. You can get all of these products on Amazon. The first thing to do is add a door strip adhesive to all the signs. Following that, just add a draft blocker on the bottom part of the door, and you're done. Today we got the range hood done. 35 plus days after we initial purchase. Oh my god, this is amazing. That is so pretty. This is the range hood, my whirlpool that came with the house, and we actually had cabinets up there. We had to take those off because in order to fit the range hood's little pipe there, this is the only way it was gonna work. Which is kind of silly because why would they install cabinets on top of it when we had to uninstall them to put the range hood in? So I am going to go back up and release Aslan. You can go to exploring again. When we found out all the appliances need to be installed by somebody, it was just such a daunting task because we didn't know how to do any of this stuff. But something that's never crossed my mind is that we have family now. I married into a pretty big family, and the uncle who came to help us, he's like, okay, don't worry about it, I'm just gonna install it all for you. And we're like, really? Because we would love that because we're house poor. He's like a father figure, and having a dad around, it is so nice. Honestly, the people who grow up with dads, I envy your lives. Okay, so another update on the house today. We still don't have the blinds, unfortunately. So windows still without any coverage. We called our guy for the 30-day move-in checkup. I told him about the screen doors that were broken. Just to reiterate, in my 3D printing room, there's a door with a window on it, and the frame of that window is cracked. So that's thing number one. I guess the big thing that's with the PDI is this. Here's our island in the middle of our kitchen. And this little plug doesn't work. Now, that might not be a huge issue, except it's actually linked to a breaker of something called a GFI. This was supposed to be something else fixed before we moved in, but unfortunately, they didn't fix it. So the guy had to call in the electrician today. So the electrician came over today and fixed the electrical socket thingamajig. And this is now completely working. When that works, so does this. And this was what needed fixing. The problem, as it turns out, was that on the inside, the wires for this thing was flipped upside down. And if this outlet doesn't work, the island one also doesn't work. So anyhow, that is one more thing down from the list. And now also have one other thing that's gonna be done today. And that is the curtains. So curtains are gonna come in the afternoon. We're gonna have privacy, finally. We got blinds. Okay. With that done, one last thing on the list. Oh, and in case you are wondering, I did ask this guy if maybe you could just change the small corner. He said that unfortunately the outer rim of this window is a full unit by itself, so he had to replace the entire thing. And I have a new door. No cracks in it this time. It's a lot cleaner than the old one. And that's it. done. Sniffing out the new window, Aslan? Yeah, okay. So today is March 14th, and that was not really our last thing on the PDI forms, but it's kind of the last one that really matters that much. That means we're in pretty good shape for completely moving in. There are a few extra things to note that I kind of want to get into a little bit, but I won't say too much in detail. Being a new build means the neighborhood also isn't complete. We have fences on the outside of our main door that we are only very recently getting installed. Then we have a park that is supposed to be the park for our small group of townhouses, and that is nowhere near complete. We knew this because when we came here, the streets weren't even done, so. Here's the fences outside our place. They are non-existent, and until 3 days ago, they did not have anything but a orange wire. And today, they have bars. In the next few days, we would actually get these fences completely finished. But I think we're just gonna wrap it up around here just because technically that's not really part of our house anymore. There was technically one last tip I really wanted to mention, and that was with regards to paying bills. That is extremely dry, but the short end of it is when we moved in, we did have a bit of a grace period for setting up all our billing for utilities. Although I would strongly recommend setting up all of your billing in the period known as closing. This is also a really good time to sort out all of your insurances. And so, we're done. I hope you enjoyed our journey as much as we did, or did not. And if there's anything you learned or found helpful, or if there's anything we missed, let us know. We're still pretty green at this house ownership thing, so I know we've still got a long ways to go. In any case, thanks for watching. Here is the park that we were promised. That is still under development. Kind of just a patch of dirt.